and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. How are you all? Are you all having a lovely day? Today I've got quite a lot of highlighter on, I've just noticed. Today is my May wrap up. I'm going to be talking about the books that I read in the month of May. I read not that much in May. I can't stop looking at that highlighted nose, guys. It's fine, it's lovely. I just think I'm like a mermaid or something. I read 2, 4, 5 physical books in the month of May and listened to 2 audiobooks, which is quite low for me. I did say to myself that I was going to use May as a month where I read larger books. For instance, at the moment I'm reading Shantaram, which is like 930 pages long. So I thought I'd afford myself a bit of time to read some bigger books because I'm 10 books ahead on my Goodreads challenge at the moment. Wanted to read 100 books this year, and yeah, it's going fine. Like I don't mind if I smash that. I don't mind if I don't smash that. But yeah, I was ahead of schedule, so I thought I'd read some bigger books. So yeah, a few less books this month, but nevertheless, still some very good books. I will start. I'll talk through the physical books that I've read, and then I'll move on to the audiobook. So the first book that I read in the month of May was The Trespasser Up by Tana French. This is shiny because it's from the library. This is from my book club at work. I did end up finishing this, which is unheard of for my book club at work. And it was my first Tana French and my first, my first Tana's French and my first experience of the Dublin Murder Squad, which is what this series of books is about. Now, I've been told you can read these in any order, and this was the 6th in a series, and I didn't feel like I didn't need the backstory that the first 5 had lent it to. Now, I gave this book 2 stars. Now, I didn't mind it. It is thorough. That's what I will say. So it follows a case where a woman has been found murdered in her home, and the DCI, I've forgotten her name, Detective Antoinette Conway, and her partner are looking into this, and it turns out that there's links to a previous case where the murdered victim's father had gone missing. I can't really tell you much more than that without revealing to you what the case is and what happened, but yeah, it's really thorough. You spend about, for every single paragraph that could be talking about one question they're asking someone in an interview, it goes into about 6 pages. It's really thorough, and I feel like people who like police procedurals would really enjoy this. And had I not been speeding through it, trying to get it finished for book club, then maybe I would have enjoyed spending a bit more time with it. However, it was long, and it was, by the end I was sort of like, come on babes, let's get to the real matter of it. And also the case itself bored the main character herself, and her partner and the other people on the squad. None of them were really interested in this case, and that really came through. It wasn't an exciting case, and for them, and they were just sort of unbothered about the whole thing, which really came through. I wouldn't ever say no to reading more Tana French because I feel like she's really got a good knowledge of what happens, but this particular book, it was just a bit slow, and I mean, I gave it 2 stars, so it was okay. It wasn't like the worst ever, but yeah, I think if you like this series, you'll really like the whole series. But for me, it was just a bit slow and long, really long, like 400. Well, it's not that long, but it felt really long, 470 pages. The next book I read was a book that I actually gave 4 stars originally, but then I've gone back to it and given it 5 stars because I haven't stopped thinking about it and how valuable I think it is. And that is Girl Up by Laura Bates. Now, I listened to Everyday Sexism by Laura Bates on audiobook, maybe not even last year, the year before, and I've been meaning to get to Girl Up for a while. I bought this for my friend Emma for Christmas, and when I bought it, I just sort of like I enjoyed Everyday Sexism. I knew that Emma worked with younger girls and this would be helpful for her, and I have since saw it at quite a good price. I can't even remember where, in a supermarket I think. Sold independent bookshops, in a supermarket. Now, I really loved this when I was reading it, and I kept thinking the whole time I was reading it, I wish I had this when I was a teenage girl growing up, because it really does go into detail about things that you should and shouldn't expect from a partner at that time, which are things like, I look back now at myself and just think, oh my god, I can't believe the things you put yourself through, but I had nobody to tell me that. I had nobody to tell me that I didn't have to have sex with my boyfriend if I didn't want to at that time. But this sort of book really drives all that home in a really accessible and fun way. It's funny for me. I feel like it would be funny for younger people, and yeah, I just really liked it. I really liked, like, the whole book itself is gorgeous, so it looks bright, it looks exciting. It's got dancing vagina end papers, and the feel of the paper's lovely. I know that's not all the point, but it really is a really great, and it's written in blue and grey, like all the text. It's just a really well thought out book. It's got pages with like these graphics on and just some like messages like you can always change your mind, and I just feel like it's a really great book for women growing up, young girls. And I learned a lot from this now, and I'm 31, so I can only imagine what it would be like for young girls reading it. I think if you are a young girl, if you know a young girl, if you work with young girls, then this is only going to help you. And this just further illustrates how much shit Laura Bates knows. Like, she's really amazing. And I've just bought Misogynation, her newest book, on Audible, so I'm really looking forward to reading that. But I really feel like this is a must read for anyone who is a girl, knows a girl, any stuff. It's just going to open up so much stuff to you, and yeah, are really valuable, and something I would definitely be dipping back into, and something I'm going to be lending to every woman and girl I know. The next one is a Daphne du Maurier book. Yay! I don't think I've read, oh no I have, I've read a short story collection by Daphne du Maurier, but this is the first of Daphne du Maurier's novels that I've read this year, and this was Mary Ann. Which is it's a fiction book, but it's based on the life of Daphne du Maurier's great-grandmother, Mary Ann Clark. She has quite lowly beginnings, and she lives in somewhere called Bowling Inn Alley, which I really like the name of as a road, and sort of works her way up into the point where she's a mistress for the Duke. The first half of the book is absolutely rip-roaring ride, and I really like Mary Ann as a person. I feel like she's really exciting, and it was a page turner, and I was loving hearing from her and what she was up to and things like that, and all the way through her childhood. I probably enjoyed her childhood a little bit more actually, because she was a sassy young girl, and she went out and she did her dad got injured, and she went out and did his work for him, and was able to feed the family and things like that, and then she gradually worked her way up until she became this mistress for like a mistress, yeah, like a live-in mistress, I guess. And then something happens where she is trying to get the Duke to put people through the army ranks quicker, and to get them to sort of captain or something like that. And then there's all this sort of like legal stuff. Now, the last third of the book is basically like courtroom drama, and it really becomes sort of long paragraphs of hearing what's going on in the courtroom, and what's going to happen of this case and things like that. And it trailed off for me at the end, because I was really enjoying Mary Ann herself as a character and the book until the last sort of third, and then it just got to 3-star territory for me. So what would have been a 4-star, because of the last third of the book. Now I wouldn't let that put you off, because it still does bring it back round. The ending's still great, and like as I said, Mary Ann as a character is a really enjoyable person. But yeah, the last third of it was I'm not going to say a slog, because it wasn't that bad, but it was harder work than other Daphne du Maurier's I've read. So yeah, 3 stars, but still another exciting one. And also, Mercedes and I, when we picked this up, Mercedes read that apparently Daphne du Maurier didn't really like this book. Daphne du Maurier herself did not much care for Mary Ann. The whole thing, she wrote, is lacking in human interest and reads like a newspaper report. So yeah, I didn't actually read the introduction, which is stupid of me. I should have done that. Although sometimes I feel like it's better to read the introduction after you've read the book, in case it gives you ideas of what you should think. So yeah, that's that one. The next one I read was, this is a proof copy of The Surface Breaks by Louise O'Neill, which is a feminist reimagining of The Little Mermaid. I'll be honest, it took me a while to get into this, and I was sort of like, I don't think I ever would have given up on it, but I was a bit like, oh, am I going to like this? It feels all a bit blur. But by the end, I really was into this. Now, this is more based on the Hans Christian Andersen side of the Little Mermaid story, rather than the Disney version that we all know, and my dad in particular loves. It's his favourite Disney film. But this is this sort of goes more into depth with the sisters, and the Little Mermaid's relationship with her mother, and father, and things like that. Now, I really like this, and I won't spoil anything in it because it is different, but I really like the feminist message in this, and it wasn't sort of like rammed down your throat. It was like fed to you, and you were like, oh god, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Like, there were so many points throughout that where I was like, yeah, that's true. and I really enjoyed it. I found it a really easy read. After I got through the first sort of like maybe 30 pages, I was a bit like, am I going to enjoy this? But then by the end I was really into it, and I feel like it would be again great for younger readers, particularly alongside this. I feel like these two would be a great bundle if you had a young gal in your life who you wanted to get into sort of feminist reading. So very enjoyable, and very eye-opening, very good. And then the last physical book I've read is a book that I read for my online book club, and that is Look What You Made Me Do by Helen Walmsley Johnson. This is a memoir. Helen is a person who has been in 2 coercive and abusive relationships, and potentially 1 work relationship where her boss was potentially coercive and abusive as well. What drew me to this was, and you may well have heard me talk about this in my currently reading, what drew me to this was the fact that Helen herself got the courage to write her memoir because of a storyline in The Archers where a woman, also called Helen, was suffering an abusive and coercive relationship at the hands of her husband Rob. Now I enjoy The Archers, and I came to The Archers after that storyline started, so I wasn't able to do that, but I was like, oh, that's interesting that something has given her the hope to do that. I feel like this was, it was fine. I enjoyed the way it was written. It's hard to say like enjoyed, isn't it, when it's about something that's awful and it's an awful, like it's a memoir of someone's awful experiences. And I really like the way it was sort of set out with, like, you'd have some actual information. So for instance here it opens with the Home Office controlling or coercive behaviour in an intimate or family relationship statutory guidance framework. So it's sort of like got statistics and policies and things throughout in a non academic way, in a really readable way. It's frustrating because I really felt for Helen at times, and I really wanted her to not put herself in these situations that she was doing. So it was written nicely and I enjoyed it, but it was just okay for me. It was a 2.5 read, and I feel like if this book has given people the courage to go ahead and reveal their stories or to tell someone, then that's a fantastic thing. But yeah, for me it was just fine, so I gave it 2.5 stars. So the last 2 books that I read are audiobooks, and both are 5 stars. Hurrah! The first one is an audiobook by Sarah Krasnowski called The Trauma Cleaner. It follows the story, it's also a memoir but written by somebody else. It follows the story of a woman, Sandra, who was born a male, Peter, and went through a horrific childhood, like absolutely awful. He was adopted, and it was just, yeah, he was just not treated well, and so you follow that side of things, like him growing up as a boy in a body that didn't belong to him, realizing that he wanted to become a woman, and then the transition for that. And then you're also following Sandra, her current life, where she's working as a trauma cleaner, who is somebody who cleans up after road traffic accidents, murder scenes, the death of someone who's been hoarding in their house and things like that. And she's running this very like very lucrative and very important business with a whole cast of staff, and she knows how to look after her staff. And yes, you're seeing how successful she is now and then what she's come from, and it's just, I just really loved it. I really thought the language was wonderful, and I was excited to get in the car every day to listen to it. And yeah, Sandra as a person is just an incredible woman, and I love reading about incredible women. So I really would recommend that. I gave that 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. And then the last one I've read is probably my favourite book of the month, which was Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I've just listened to the audiobook of this, and I did mention this in my favourites video, but I've recently been listening to, unintentionally, I've been rereading my favourite books as audiobooks. So Americana is one that I've listened to this year and really loved, and Rebecca is my next one. And just adored it. It was narrated by Anna Passy. She did an amazing job. I've read the book once, and although that was not last year, the year before, so 2 years ago, and I've seen the film, the Alfred Hitchcock film, once as well. So I know the storyline, and I know how much I loved it, and I know the description is gorgeous and everything, but Anna Passy's delivery really did bring something entirely new to it. I really enjoyed it, and there was points in it where I was like, not even sure where this is gonna go. I just felt like it was a whole different level to it, and she was just fantastic at doing the voices and just building the suspense, and just the descriptions of Manderley were just coming alive in my mind. And yeah, I just loved it, and I really would, if you haven't read Rebecca yet, by Daphne du Maurier, then I really would recommend the audiobook if you're maybe looking for something, if you're not keen on reading it. But oh, loved it. Or even if you have read it, to revisit it through audiobook, I really loved it. So yeah, so those are the books that I read in the month of May. What did you guys read in the month of May? Have you read any of these books that I have here? I'll pick them up for you, these books, and I will see you all again soon for another BookTube video.